welcome to the Lowland Catchup. It's myself, Rampant FM, and today I'm joined by Derek. How are you doing, mate?
I'm really good, mate. How's you?
Yeah, good. We've got a bit of a mixture today of, Scottish Cup action and one Lowland League game. Only Lowland League game. I actually managed to get to this one with Rory Murphy, East Kilbride versus Berwick Rangers at K Park. It was the first time seeing these two teams this season. I was actually quite, expecting a decent game, and I wasn't let down, to be honest. Darryl Healy scored possibly the quickest goal in the Lowland League this season to give Berwick the lead. I think it was around 25 seconds. Craig Reid back in for EK. Unfortunately, he had a bit of a baptism of fire coming back from injury. He missed the ball, and that allowed Healy to go in and get the opener. Berwick started this brilliantly, to be honest. They were fantastic. First sort of 15 minutes, they could have easily been 2-0 up if it wasn't for Alan Martin. It kind of died down the tempo a wee bit. I think it settled down. East Kilbride got more into it, but certainly I think Berwick Rangers were the better team in the first half. But it was that man Sean Winter with an important equaliser just before the break, and I think that changed the momentum for both teams. One thing I have to say about this, there was a few balls kicked out of K Park. It was noted by the Berwick's Twitter. It was true. I think, if you've got Ricky Miller in your team, he's a bit of a no-nonsense defender. I can't blame him for all the balls kicked out the park, but certainly was he had one or two, I think.
Doesn't take any chances, does he?
Absolutely not. At half time, I was actually speaking to Ricky Miller Senior. Really enjoyed our wee chat about the Lowland League. Absolutely loves it, and it's good to see that Ricky Miller's doing well at Berwick. He's a good defender at this level. Going into the second half, it was East Kilbride. I think similar to how Berwick started the first half. East Kilbride came out, and pretty much a minute into the second half, Paul Woods gets his shot away, and it took a bit of a deflection. I don't think Sean Brennan could have done anything about it, but EK got the lead. A few minutes later, 50th minute, Winters dinks the ball across the goal. Berwick tried to clear, but Rory Payton smashes home, and his celebration was quite spectacular too, to make it 3-1 East Kilbride. Berwick never gave up. They were totally in this game actually, and 6 minutes later, in the 56th minute, it was another goal for the away side. Healy headers home from a corner for his brace, and Berwick's second. The game was, the tempo did die down a wee bit. Berwick were still chasing it. East Kilbride had their chances, but I think the closest one was probably on Berwick's end. Kevin was free kick, great save by Alan Martin. East Kilbride completely, you could say that they deserved the win, but Berwick probably a wee bit unlucky in this one. I was really impressed with Berwick. I think there was a few Berwick fans there, and I don't think they were disappointed. I know it's another loss, and there's a lot of backlash with not winning games from Berwick fans, but the ones that were there, I think they were quite happy with what they saw, and I was too. Berwick were very unlucky. There was a lot of positives to take from the game. East Kilbride, I think they've still got things to sort out in terms of the defence, like Craig Reid's obviously just back from injury, but overall it was just a fantastic advert for the league, a really decent game of football. Any thoughts on that, Muzza?
Yeah, it sounded like it. I'm very interested in what you're saying about Berwick. It sounds like they're beginning to settle, and the guys are beginning to get an idea of not just each other's games, but the way that Ian wants them to play. And it sounds like we're getting to the point now where we kind of predicted they'd have a baptism of fire, a wee bit tough, but then maybe once they have settled down a bit, get the points on the board and start progressing up the table. So they're sitting in 13th now. That's maybe a slight false position for them. They've still got a game or two in hand and clubs around them. And from the sounds of it, they're going to pick up points. So I'll be intrigued to see. They've got a few winnable games on the slate coming up. If they can get one or two victories on the table, then we'll see if they push on and kind of start moving up towards the bigger boys in the league this year. But it does sound positive, despite the fact that Kilby did what they do and eked out a win out of somewhere. It's the same old story with Kilby, that they just seem to find a way a lot of the time. And despite the fact that they've been given a bit of a fright there, and he might not have been on firing on all cylinders, they've got the 3 points, and at the end of the day, that's what they needed, with one or two results, and people beginning to question where their defence of the title was going to go. But this should get them right back on track.
In terms of East Kilbride, I think their next few fixtures, I know the game next week's postponed because obviously Spartans, we'll get into it later, but obviously they went to replay in the Scottish Cup. But these are the type of games in the next few, I think it's going to be like this, where they have to grind out results. Berwick, on the side of Berwick, as I said, John Baldy coming in from Rangers, he done really well. They've got a goal scorer, definitely, in Darryl Healy. Grant Rose as well. I think, he came on in the second half. He certainly scored at this level. There's positives definitely there for them. Cammy Lumsden done well. Ricky Miller, he's known at this league, but he's just no nonsense, fantastic. There's a few boys in that Berwick team that impressed me, and I think you're right. I think it's gelling together. Not only that, I mean, I was pretty critical of Ian Little from his stint at Whitehill last season. I think he got it spot on. Tactically wise, I thought his tactics were brilliant. His structure was really well. They kind of kept EK, kind of frustrated them a wee bit, but also got goals. So there's definitely positives there. And I think you're right. I think Berwick will push up the table. Well, another game I was at, obviously Friday night, the big game, obviously on BBC Scotland as well. Kelty Hearts versus Auchinleck Talbot. I guess, well, most people probably listen to this, probably watched the game. Auchinleck, full credit goes to them. The structure was spot on, the tactics, they were really good on the press, really, really decent team. It's kind of probably what you would expect from Auchinleck in the Cup. They've obviously got a decent record. Kelty, for me, just didn't turn up. It was a wee bit unfortunate from the Kelty point of view. It was 20 minutes in, a Mark Shanklin free kick from right on the sideline found Craig McCracken at the back post, and he powerfully headed home to give Talbot the lead. Shanklin whipped in a cross which picked up Dwayne Hislop with his header smashing off the post. Just before half time, Danny Ash header back to Ben McKenzie, lacked a wee bit of pace. Graham Wilson lofted the ball over the keeper to the back post, where Sampson arrived to convert pretty much in emphatic fashion. Absolute killer for Kelty in terms of momentum. Brilliant for Talbot to get the second just before half time. And it was pretty much dead in the water early in the second half. Shanklin, who headed into the far corner in the net to make it 3-0 Talbot, and it was, to be honest, it was really smooth sailing from Talbot. They were spot on with their tactics, certainly the better team. We have a lot of chat about Lowland League junior, who's better and whatnot, but yeah, you can't take anything away from Talbot. They were certainly the better team. Disappointing for Kelty, especially with the goals. I mean, Murray Carstairs, Danny Ash have been quite solid as defenders in this league so far this season. I think they had a bit of an off day. The goals were, I think you could probably say all three goals were, mistakes. In all honesty, taking that away from Talbot, obviously, but I think Kelty could have done a lot better in them situations. But as I mentioned, Talbot, well worthy of the win.
Yeah, I think you've covered it quite well. I would be slightly concerned if I was kind of behind Kelty at this point in that, firstly, Talbot's tactics, as you say, were absolutely spot on. But the worry I'd have from Kelty's point of view is he didn't really seem to have a plan B. When Talbot basically managed to handle Nathan Austin, every time a ball kind of went up, and obviously he's a guy that's talent level is above our league. We've got to say that initially, right? The way that he's basically exploded and got so many goals this year is because he's dynamic, he's pacey, he gets in behind, and one-on-ones he generally puts the ball in the back of the net. The way Auchinleck dealt with him was basically had two defenders looking after him, one guy dropping a wee bit further kind of back when balls were coming over, so he couldn't get in behind the same way. He always had a physical presence to challenge in the air, or if the ball was getting in behind, there'd be somebody there to meet him. So he didn't have anything his own way, and I don't know, Kelty just felt like they were going through the motions because of that. It was almost like they were expecting him to have the joy, and when that wasn't happening, they were passing the ball nicely enough, they were putting together nice enough moves up until the final third. It just felt like they were lacking that final ball. And Talbot were really comfortable sitting in, letting Kelty have a bit of possession, and then their counter-attacks, and when they had the ball at feet, their attacks were direct, they were quick, they were lethal, basically. It's what they've been founded on in the Cup for going years now. They've had great runs, especially last year though. So yeah, you give full credit to Talbot. They've got guys in that team that could be SPFL players, I think, quite easily. But they've chosen to be in the junior level for personal circumstances and so on. But I think that kind of sums up, really. There's not much else to it. And I know the debate has started raging again on social media in terms of the Lowland League's standard compared to junior level and compared to Easter Scotland and all that kind of thing. One-off cup games, it's very, very hard to make that comparison. But as usual, the answer will lie somewhere in the middle of that debate. There's people on either side that are completely off the scale, as you'd expect. Somewhere comfortably in the middle. You know, Talbot would really acquit themselves well in this league, probably pushing towards the title, but they wouldn't have everything their own way, let's be honest. So we really hope that we find a way to get the West Juniors integrated as well as the other juniors. We've seen a lot of the East jump over to the Pyramid already. That's an argument for down the line in a different podcast, how that happens, but ultimately this round of the Cup is all about non-league, and it's all about celebrating the talent we've got in non-league. Anyone that gets to the first round of the Scottish Cup should be supported by any non-league fan to go ahead and cause some shocks to the big boys up above us.
Yeah, just on that note, I think when people tend to compare the leagues, I think they mention teams rather than the actual strength of the league itself.
Yeah.
Like they say, oh, well, Talbot would win the Lowland League, or Clydebank would do it. I think someone brought up Kelty beat, Gretna 10-0. There's wayward results in every league. It doesn't matter if it's West Juniors, Lowland, East of Scotland. There's strong teams and weak teams. The stronger the teams, the East of Scotland, we know would fit well in the Lowland League. The strong teams in the West Juniors would fit well in the Lowland League. We don't know. We would have to really see an integration to work out who's really the better teams, or not the better teams, or that has the better league, if you will. But again, it's brought up as well, Muzza. The Lowland League, 6-year-old? The West Juniors, 100 years or whatever. There's a lot of time for the Lowland League to sort of become better and whatnot, and it's an interesting game. I think, as you mentioned, Talbot were just spot on. You've got to give full credit to them. They absolutely smothered Kelty in terms of pressure. Kelty are a good team with the ball at their feet. They just went air ball, and Nathan Austin just man marked by two guys. It didn't work. But the long ball does sometimes work for Kelty to Nathan Austin. We've seen it a wee bit this season, but they're better with the ball at their feet, Kelty. It's disappointing from a Kelty point of view, but good luck to Talbot in the next round. You never know, they might get BSC or East Kilbride, and we'll wait and see if they can see if the debate comes up again, if BSC or East Kilbride or whoever can get a result against Talbot.
And by the way, 1,600 fans on a Friday night game in Kelty, outstanding stuff.
Yeah, there was a wee bit of a sad note on this one. We're in a public forum, and I think it has to be mentioned because it was heard. There was, unfortunately, a bit of an idiot Talbot fan. I never said it on Twitter because, you didn't want to say that all Talbot fans are like this, but there was a bit of a bit of an idiot that was given kind of vile abuse to Nathan Austin. It's quite frankly unacceptable. I think the guy had a bit of a bevy in him, but look, it's unacceptable at any level. It has to be mentioned because obviously it's just, people need to know it's unacceptable.
Yeah, absolutely. It needs to be called out when it happens, and I'd like to think we'd do that with any team, be it in our league or any league. And call it what it is. It was racist abuse, pure and simple.
Yep.
So it's completely unacceptable, and the more people actually confront it and call it out, the more we've got a chance at absolutely eliminating it from the game.
Yep, and in fairness, as I say, I don't want to brush all Talbot fans with a tag or whatever.
No, not at all.
There was Talbot fans that obviously, had a word with the guy, but it's one of those things. We have to address it obviously if it happens, especially in our league or in a cup game like that, because it's not on.
No, you're quite right to bring it up. With the Kelty game on the back burner, the next one that involved a Lowland League side was actually a former Highland League champion a few years back, Bucky Thistle, playing host to Civil Service Strollers. So Bucky, actually sitting top of the league just now, and they took the lead in opening minutes when a free kick from the edge of the box was whipped in. Hamish Monroe stroked the ball beyond Josh Donaldson, the returning Josh Donaldson in the Civil goal. Strollers' new signing Ryan Shanley then forced a save from the Bucky keeper, when the Civil Service made a very quick attack. Lone player's first time effort was saved well by Lee Herbert in the Bucky goal, so it was going each way, despite the fact that Thistle had taken the lead. Minutes later, though, they doubled their advantage. Andrew McCaskill picking up the ball in Strollers' half and unleashing a stunning strike from a full 25 yards out, nestling at the top corner. It sounds like one to look out for the highlights when they arrive. Before the interval, essentially, Bucky managed to end it as a contest by nabbing a third goal. Gary Jordan would have loved to get in at 2 down, I suspect, and regroup, but Kevin Fraser pouncing on the ball after a terrific save from Donaldson. Keeper did manage to get back on his feet, but he couldn't get enough in the ball to stop it, trembling into the back of the net. And that kind of was that at half time, which is a shame really when it's the first round of the Cup. But Cammy Muirhead came on in the second half and pulled one back for Civil from the penalty spot. Jack Hodge getting fouled in the box. And they must have thought they've got a chance of coming back, but 15 minutes to go, Craig Howie sealed it, made it 4-1 for the home side, header from close range, and that was that basically. So Bucky march on. They were seen as the bookies' favourites in this one. I'm not sure I expected them to win by 3 clear goals. So what do you reckon?
No, it's disappointing from a Strollers point of view, but Bucky Thistle, they look like they're going to be one of the top sides in the Highland League. Again, it's that argument about top sides, in different leagues, and again, yeah, you're probably right. I didn't expect them. I expected it a wee bit closer. Strollers they do have a few lone players. I think there are things needing to be tweaked due to injuries and stuff like that. So no excuse really. Bucky Thistle, you've got to give them the full credit, just like the likes of Talbot. Disappointing for Gary, but it lets him focus on other things. Maybe a push for top 4, because I think that's where Strollers really want to be. Missing out on it last season.
Yeah, Strollers haven't really had a great cup run in recent years, have they? So it'll be a shame for them that's another year being and gone. But as you mentioned, at least they can focus on their main priority now.
Yep.
And that's absolutely the way they'll be approaching it. But something a bit different after that. We'll move into the next game. Fort William playing host to Vale of Leithen. 3 minutes in, Fort took the lead. Jordan Andrew with his first goal for the club. Kim was going back and forth up until about the 40th minute. There was a massive chance for Leithen, but a really good save from Martin McKinnon, and the Fort goal kept it 1-0. Into half time, still 1-0, could have gone either way, but the screws started getting turned by Fort William in the second half. Just a few minutes in, Bobby Nevison scored his first goal for the club, so another for Fort. And 10 minutes after that, immediate impact from one of their other new signings, Ian McClellan, playing the ball across the box and Ross Gunn tapping in to make it 3. And that basically opened the floodgates. Another couple of goals in the final 20 minutes. Ross Gunn on 72 with a magic free kick. And 15 minutes left, Roddy Kennedy finishing off a well-timed goal. Decent team move up to that point. And just to compound their misery, 5-0 down at Fort William. 82nd minute, so Lewis Hall gets sent off for the lone side. Just sounded like frustration got the better of him, unfortunately. So that's how it ended. Back-to-back home wins for the first time in forever for Fort. I'm sure they don't mind me saying that. But so only their second ever Scottish Cup win, so we need to give credit to them. Really well done, Vale of Leithen. Try and get their season started, turn their prospects round, because they're sitting 8 games in the league with no points. They're out the Scottish Cup. They're looking a wee bit desperate just now. They're struggling for something, anything, just to get things moving.
I'm a wee bit worried about Vale of Leithen. It's it's getting to the point where it's looking a wee bit like Whitehall last season.
Yeah.
We've mentioned the fact that they do have the numbers there, but they've still got a relatively young team. It's brought in a lot of youngsters, and I think they're just lacking a wee bit of experience in terms of squad.
All things taken into consideration, Vale are a side that the size of them are kind of pitching above their weight, I'd say, in terms of what they've done the last few years. On paper, the squad seemed improved, but is it just a case of other teams are improving at a greater rate, do you think? Yeah,
it's something we've talked about. I think every team in the Lowland League this season has made improvements. Some vast, some, just a few guys here and there, but it's the fact that the teams around them have definitely improved. The likes of Dalbeattie, they've got more depth. I just don't know where the points are going to come. Cumbernauld Colts versus Pennycook Athletic at Broadwood Stadium. I tell you what, a fantastic result for Pennycook. I don't really have too much to say on this other than the fact that I don't think there was any positives. Even Stuart McKenzie, the Colts chairman, said there was no positives for Colts in this game. Pennycook absolutely dominated them. Very surprising, because considering how Broadwood's been for Lowland League teams, bar Bonnyrig, Pennycook just were up for it. It was their first win in the Scottish Cup since 1890. Was a bit of a record there. 18, yeah, that's mental.
That is a stat, isn't it?
They were dominant. They were first everything, from what I heard. It was the 29th minute that they took the lead. Great pressure. It comes good as Stevenson's free kick is met by skipper Aaron Somerville, who heads home the opener. 37 minutes, pick that one out. Craig Stevenson turns his man in midfield, powers forward and lifts it over Jonathan Greer from 30 yards. 41 minutes, it's free. Excellent link up between McGrory, Irvin and Forbes. Sees the latter cross for Aaron Ponton to steer home into the far corner. I mean, 3 quick goals before half time put Pennycook way in the driving seat. The Colts did pull one back on the 70th minute. Greg Holmes, it was another top shot, to be honest. Lashes one into the top corner from 30 yards, but 78th minute restored the 3-0 deficit. Bapty crosses from wide, and Sean Stewart, who we know very well, gets on the end of it to restore Pennycook's 3-goal lead. Just before the end of the game, 87th minute, Ponton does brilliantly to keep it alive, and his cross goes loose in the box, and Sam Jones arrives to slam home the 5th. I don't think he'll mind me saying, but I did get a message from Murph yesterday, basically saying, what did you make of that result, basically. So absolutely delighted for Pennycook. I get on quite well with a few of the boys there. Obviously Grinchy, we know about Sean Stewart and a few of the guys there. I think Tony Begg, the boys there are absolutely ecstatic. It's a fantastic win, and I tell you what, going forward, that'll give them a buzz for the next round, whoever they're playing.
Absolutely. It was a real eye-opener of a result, and a day of eye-opening results, I think. But before the game started, personally, I'd looked at this one, and I'd also looked at the Broxburn game we'll get into. But the two teams that were vying for the Lowland League spot this year, alongside Bonnyrig Rose, and I was kind of intrigued to see how they play against Lowland League sides. We've seen how Bonnyrig have started their campaign and done really, really well. So again, I didn't expect a 5-1. Colts are generally really strong at Broadwood, and they don't tend to let much go. But when you look at the way they've scored their goals, there's a couple for long range, and there's a couple of really good team moves. So I just think you need to give credit to Pennycook, to be honest. They've also had a great day. Cookie fans will be delighted to get their first win since it's over 100 years, so none of them would have been born when they get their last Scottish Cup win. But yeah, fair play to them, and I hope they do really well in the competition, because especially when a team's not been in the Cup and they've not had success in the Cup for that long, you can only feel good for them. As far as Colts, they had a really strong start to the season in the league. They've actually tailed off a wee bit the last few games with the results that have came in. So we maybe shouldn't be so surprised that they've been knocked out of the Cup. They need to get back together, regroup and get moving again. Get back to basics in terms of what was giving them so much success early doors, because it might escape some people's attention with the way that they've been given some early credit. They've actually slipped down to 9th in the table now, so their focus needs to go back on the league, I think.
As I've mentioned, I got on quite well with Pennycook, and I'm really chuffed for them. Exactly right on Colts, mate. They have to sort of regroup and get back to it. Moving on to the next fixture, it was Edinburgh University versus Lochee United. Another team, another league. Fortunately, they were beaten 3-1 at East Peffermiller. Well, it was a fantastic day yesterday. Sun was out and everything. Brilliant day for football. Lochee did take the lead on the 57th minute. It was Scott McComiskey. Edinburgh Uni did get the equaliser on the 77th minute through Patrick Baird, but it was that man again, McComiskey, a few minutes later, that got his brace, and Lochee United's second. and 90th minute, Grant Lawson sealed it for Lochie United to make it 3-1. Disappointing for Edinburgh University to get put out, but again, another team from another league, a top team in Lochie United.
Yeah, I think Lochie are pretty much considered the strongest team in these juniors, aren't they? So it was an interesting match-up on paper, and we've got all the way to the last 10 minutes at even Stevens, which tells you that there's not much between the teams, basically, but ultimately Lochie have managed to do the business and get through. Well done to them. It's kind of hard not knowing too much about what happened in the game. To be honest, there's not been too much information out there, but again, Edinburgh University's primary focus this year was always going to be in league and survival, and they'll be disappointed not to get through, let's be honest, because the Scottish Cup is such a carrot for teams every year, but well done to Lochie, and really hope they progress further as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You obviously referred to it earlier, Derek, but do you want to take us through the Broxburn versus Easter Linshire game?
Behind the Kelty game, this was one of the ones that people looked at as one of the ties of the round. We'll get into the Bonnie Rig game later on as well. That was another one that was earmarked. But Broxburn Athletic playing host to Easter Linshire, and it lived up to the hype. We'll get into how it went now. 5 goals. But in terms of Broxburn, first game in the Scottish Cup, first goal in the Scottish Cup, and the injury time winner as well. But it all started off with Xander Miller on the 7th minute, and then again in the 15th. So 2-0 early doors, and pretty plain sailing at that point. Shire bit back with a free kick, Nicky Lowe up and over the wall, and it stayed 2-1 for the longest time, all the way through the 85th minute, where Andy Rogers thought that he'd earned a replay for Shire, doing what he does best, right in the clutch situation, sticking the ball in the back of the net, wheeling off to over-celebrate, no doubt. 2-2, and in the very, very dying embers of the game in injury time, Xander Miller sealed a hat-trick for Broxburn to get their first ever win in the Scottish Cup. So a day of firsts for Broxburn in that. Albine saw his first game in the Cup, first goal and first win, and they'll be absolutely delighted. I saw there was a video going about of their fans when the third going in, just losing it, and that's what the Cup's all about, moments like that. So they surprised a lot of people last year with how good they were in East of Scotland, and they were very, very close to getting promotion. Shire will be very disappointed though, not being able to get through, because they, being the side they are, would want to have gone pretty far in the Cup and got a plum tie or two, no doubt. But you just need to give credit to Broxburn, I think. And again, this was the second game that I'd mentioned where the two sides at Bonnyrigg ultimately got the better of in the playoffs, have been successful against pretty decent Lowland League opposition. So credit goes where it's due.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sickener for Shire, obviously, getting back into the game and losing it like that. I noticed during one of the videos that I saw, I don't know if Jamie Barclay could be at fault for the third goal. We did sort of rush out to it.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed Nicky Lowe, I think it was Nicky Lowe, went up and obviously wasn't happy with him coming out, but it's one of those games where it's huge nerves, especially, 2-2. Exactly like Pennycook in a lot of ways, they're absolutely ecstatic over the win. Fair play. With Shire, I did expect them to do better in the Scottish Cup. At the end of the day, it's a wee bit like Kelty in some respects. The focus now has to go to the league and start performing in terms of going for that top spot, I think.
Yeah, the other thing that would be disappointing for Shire, from a few reports that I've seen, they just didn't play well. They were really poor compared to what they're capable of. And that's a side with bags and bags of SPFL experience in it. The fact that they've gone and thrown it away in injury time will be a sickener for them. The guys that are good old school professionals that know what it takes, they will be raging that they've thrown that game away, and expect a bounce back in some way, I think, come the next fixture.
Shire are a weird one because there's been times, I think, Mozza, where they haven't played well, but they've still grinded out results in the league, and they really have to look at that. I think Dell and the boys will be having a wee look at that and saying, look, we're better than this, because we know that they are in terms of the players that they have, players that they've brought in. It's brilliant for Broxburn, but Shire I think they have to back to the drawing board in terms of going for the league.
The other thing is, I don't think they've found a starting 11 yet.
No.
They're still rotating a fair bit, and there's guys come back for injury for pre-season. The one thing you might question them on is pace. I don't think there's a lot of speed in that team. And they have been caught flat-footed, conceding a couple of goals this season. So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust and kind of look to bounce back from this one. And ultimately, if Dale and Andy will settle on a kind of starting 11 with one or two changes here and there, because it still seems a bit in flux and a bit in rotation, doesn't it?
Moving on to Caledonian Braves versus Rothes at Alliance Park. It was Caledonian Braves' first game in the Scottish Cup under that name. I noticed they tried to make it like their first ever game in the Scottish Cup, but yeah, we're not having it, Cali Braves. It's it was an awful start by them. Rothes really took control of the game early. Ali Sutherland in the 15th minute. Gary Kerr made it 2-0 in the 18th. 2-0 at half time. Ali Sutherland got his brace in the 54th to make it 3-0 Rothes. Moments later, Ross McNeil did get a goal back for them, but it wasn't until the 79th minute Craig McCormack made it 4-1 to Rothes. 2 minutes later, Evan Goloso did actually give the Cali Braves a wee bit of hope to make it 4-2, and he did actually have another goal ruled out for offside on the 89th minute. Jack McDowell scored on the 90th minute to make it 4-3. We do have the interview actually with Ricky Waddle. Very disappointed, obviously, with the result. We'll have a listen to that.
After a disappointing defeat today without the Scottish Cup, how would you analyse that game?
It's difficult to analyse it right at this particular second, but certainly I had a bit of kind of true words to be had with the guys in there. I thought they lacked fight today, I really did, and I was disappointed. I felt they maybe thought they could turn up and have their ability would be enough to get them through the game. I didn't think we showed anywhere near enough urgency and energy within the first 20 minutes, and we put ourselves in a position we were 2-0 down, and it made it really difficult for ourselves. And they were delighted with that because they had to defend, and they were okay with that. They camped in their own half and tried to catch us on the break, and that worked for them. But I just felt there was a wee kind of softness about us the day, and I didn't like to see it. I've seen it before with us. I've spoke to the guys about it, how we can be more aggressive in certain situations. But yeah, it's disappointing.
So the early substitution with John Gee coming off after they pulled up, did that have any bearing on the game?
I don't think it did have a major bearing on the game, other than the fact that I was down to only 2 subs that I could use for the second half, especially finding myself 2-0 down. I would like to have changed more at half time. I'd have done 2, I only done 1 because of that scenario. We end up kind of gambling at the end a wee bit and getting something from it, but John Gee's injury will need to be assessed, but it was a blow. We want to keep our players on the pitch, but putting Sink in there, putting John Guthrie wide, it didn't change it too much, to be honest with you, personnel wise obviously, but in terms of game plan, no.
We're not known for a team that concede a lot of goals, and to concede 4 today, it's just must be disappointing for yourself after scoring 3 yourselves.
Yeah, but we scored 3 from kind of gambling at the end, and honestly, I can say this truthfully, with 90 minutes gone and 3 minutes to play, I believed we could go and draw the game. I believed it, totally 100% believed it. I'm not sure if my players did, and that's something I need to look at. That's one of the things I need to take for that today is, do my players believe wholly and truly in each other? And out in that game the other day, I just felt there was a lack of real urgency that would tell me that they didn't believe that they would go and get the goals that they could get, regardless of how you're playing, because you can go and be fully committed and start to kind of put balls into the box and put them under pressure. And I just felt as a group, not all of us, but individually, wasn't it that kind of desire and hunger try and at least get goals back, you know.
Obviously, I want to thank Ricky Waddle for his thoughts there. He completely gutted about the result there. I think he's right in a lot of things. I don't know if you listened to it, Muzza, but there didn't seem to be a belief there, I think.
Yeah, you're making life hard for yourself when you give them a 2-goal head start. Swirly doors, aren't you? You're always fighting an uphill battle at that point. And we've mentioned in previous weeks that Cali, in behind the first team defence, are a wee bit potentially weak there in terms of strength and depth. Rothus, don't get me wrong, you need to give Rothus a bit of respect here, because they're not the side that a couple of years ago were down at the bottom of that Highland League with Strathspey and Fort William. They're a very different team these days, and they're kind of mid-table pushing up the ranks in the Highland. Ali Sutherland embodies that. He's a guy that arguably could be League 2 level. He's been there and he's proven it with teams in the past. He's a very, very good attacking player, and he's grabbed this game by the scruff of the neck with a couple of goals and been a big influence on it. But I think the most frustrating thing for Ricky, for a gaffer, in this kind of game is when your team come back right at the death like that, but you've hamstrung yourself early doors, and it's too little too late, isn't it? Especially on such a big occasion. As you say, they were trying to make it a bigger occasion, saying it was a first ever cup game, but that'll be where the disappointment is. They'll know they're more than capable of having won that game, but the first 20 minutes ultimately was what cost them.
Yeah, Ricky certainly wasn't happy in his interview that we heard, obviously, and really like Ricky Waddle's interviews. I think he's very honest in terms of his feedback.
Yeah.
Again, it comes down, we talked about it a wee bit with Colts last season, and Civil, could probably add Civil to that. Are the teams just sort of below that sort of top 4, top 6? Is there a bit of a lack of belief that they can go out and actually win things, basically?
There shouldn't be. There might be, but there shouldn't be, because like we've seen every single team in the league draw points. Like that, you shouldn't, just because you're outside the top 4 or the kind of perceived top 4 in the league, you shouldn't really be going into games thinking, "Oh, that's it done." Do you know what I mean? You're beaten before you step in the pitch. In the cup, especially so, the cup is a one-off game. Anything can happen. We've seen it over the years. There's shocks all the time. You're playing against a team that you don't know that well, but the same goes for Rothus. They came down the road not knowing anything really about Cali. They freely admitted that they were quite feeling as if they were stepping into the unknown, I think was the phrase that was used. So if it's not a problem for them, why should it be a problem for Cali? It's a mindset thing that I'm not going to lie, I was a bit concerned with a couple of teams, the way they've kind of clearly been very nervous at the start and given goals away and then had to fight all the way back. That's not the way you want to approach these kind of games. And there'll be a lot of regret flying about, I think, for teams that have been knocked out that will maybe think, what if we'd approach it differently? It's
an interesting comment, and one thing we never actually mentioned during the Kelty and Auchinleck game, obviously Kelty have been in cup finals and they've been in sort of big competitions, if you will, but Auchinleck, is there a more experience for certain teams in terms of like going further in the Scottish Cup, and does that come into play a wee bit?
Possibly, yeah, possibly. The other thing with Talbot, and Talbot's a really good example of it, is they've got that winning mentality. They know exactly what it takes. They do it year in, year out. They go and win junior cups all the time. They win that West Super League all the time. Success is ingrained in them. With some of the teams in the Lowland, it might be too easy an excuse to say that they don't win the league all the time, that they have a little bit of a drop-off after January, that players sometimes find reasons not to be available certain weeks. You need to get out of that mentality if you want to achieve anything. Simple as that. And it all comes from the culture at the club. And the easiest kind of example of that is if you look at the likes of Kilbride. You look at the culture they instilled when they've been winning this league, and it doesn't really matter what game it's been, they grind out the results. And obviously, like, there's been one or two this year that have been a wee bit eye-opening. But just as an overall kind of approach, the year Spartans won the league just a couple of years back. Look at the way they won games. They weren't at their best. They were still winning 1-0. They were still winning 2-1. That's what you need. And it's a very much a mentality thing as well as the squad you put out on the bit.
Just before we move on, it actually made me laugh a wee bit there because I reckon probably about the 4th minute of the game, Sean Winter was having a go. Well, in fact, Sean Winter and Paul Woods were having a wee bit of a go at each other. So that's what you need sometimes in teams, though. You need guys on each other in a good way.
Yeah.
Obviously, just spurt each other. You know, there's some guys that, you know, ends up, they get frustrated, but you're absolutely spot on. Some guys are like, look, let's get this done, let's get it going, and you're right, top teams have that. I think it has to be developed for some teams, because they certainly have top players, but they need that, I want to say a hive mindset, where everyone feels the exact same way. Right, we're going out, we're winning it.
Yeah, and there's an expectation of performance levels and the effort and application, and that's kind of what you're summing up there with Kilby. There's a expected standard that you need to hit if you're in that team. Just don't go quite as far as Tamor and Jamie McCormack did a few weeks back. We don't quite want to see head-to-heads and fisticuffs, but nothing wrong with challenging teammates. I'm all for that.
So we've kind of had a bit of a spell of a downer for Lowland League teams. Do you want us, get us into a wee bit of a positive mindset for the next few games, Mozza?
Thank the Lord for Dean Brett. Right, so Fraserburgh versus Bonnyrigg Rose, and Bonnyrigg were right up for this. You could tell in the build up this week that all the players have been raring to go up there, and Fraserburgh is one of the toughest grounds you can visit in the Highland League, Belsley Park. And they're a team, we mentioned they're teams that have had good runs. They had a great run and ended up hosting Rangers in the Cup, remember? So again, that added a layer of difficulty. They know exactly what it takes to get to the later rounds of the Cup. But it was a ding-dong battle. Both teams going hell for leather at it. And the only thing that separated them was in the 89th minute. Dean Brett driving, pulled it back to Hunter, shot crashed in off the bar, and there it was, 1-0 Rose right at the death. And I suspect it was a very happy bus journey, and that I can imagine there was a few beers consumed on the way back. Dean was quite open on Twitter about how much it meant to him and the club, and he had a few other wee comments to make as well. But yeah, a fantastic result for Rose, wasn't it? Fraserburgh very, very rarely lose games, so we need to give massive credit to the guys, and I really hope that they go on and get rewarded for that, because just rewards for them would be getting a really good draw in the next round and maybe even getting through another round or two.
Absolutely. Really happy to see that, because I was keeping a bit of an eye on the results when I was at Kilby yesterday. Brock, definitely one of the top teams in the Highland, as you mentioned, obviously the hundreds of miles round trip. Got to give credit to the fans. I think they did. They turned up. They stayed overnight, as Bonnyrigg mentioned. So fantastic support from Bonnyrigg. George Hunter. We've talked a wee bit about George Hunter. When he was one of the top scorers in the East of Scotland last season, when Bonnyrigg brought him in, I thought they needed a wee bit to support McGeechy, but he's done fantastically well for a young striker, and he's obviously scored them a pretty important goal. We have to give him a wee bit of credit there, as well as the rest of the lads.
Yeah, I was very impressed with him when I saw him earlier in the season. I think he gives them what they need in terms of a bit of mobility up front. McGeechy, I'm sure Kieran won't mind me saying, isn't the quickest striker in the world. His talents are elsewhere, really. In that he's a man mountain. But he's settled in brilliantly, hasn't he? And it seems to be gelling, and a bit of a partnership forming there. So it's all positive for Rose just now. They're sitting top of the league. They're through in the Cup. Couldn't ask for a better start.
We'll move on to Keith versus University of Stirling. Another trip for the Stirling Ultras, if you will. Knock Park, I think it's called. It was Stirling Uni that actually got the opener through Connor Doan just before half time in the 38th minute. Craig McCaskill replied back for Keith just after half time, 2 minutes into the second half. and Keith actually took the lead through Cameron Keith, believe it or not, on the 58th minute. But Stirling, what a performance from them, absolute fantastic. Matty Burrows again, I don't know if he was playing up front or if he was at his usual position at right back, but 67th minute gave Stirling Uni the equaliser, and Callum Heath on the 72nd gave them the winner, 3-2 win. Another result I was sort of looking at, absolutely delighted for University of Stirling. Chris Geddes, David Chandler, Christine, and all the people that made the trip. We've mentioned it, obviously. It's good. You can have good days and bad days. It can be shock results, but that's a brilliant result for Stirling Uni again, and hopefully they can get as far as they did last season with hopefully another decent tie in the second round.
And a great comeback, going a goal ahead, then going 2-1 down. That's where the mentality thing kicks in. Could have easily thrown the game away at that point, but no, they didn't. And at this point, Matty Burrows is basically Tavernier, isn't he? Like the marauding right back that scores goals, plays up front as well. We were really impressed with him last season when we saw them at Civil, and yeah, he's done it again. Callum Heath getting all important goal in the 72nd, but the most important thing there is they went that final 20 minutes and defended comfortably. And that, even more so than the goals, that's the most eye-opening thing for me. In that Stirling haven't always been great at holding on to 1-goal leads. Especially last season, they threw away a lot of chances of getting 3 points. But Chris will be absolutely delighted that they've seen that game out professionally. And that's not an easy place to go, Keith. Their name in the hat, and can't ask more than that, can you?
We do have an interview with Chris Geddes that we'll listen to now, obviously chuffed on the victory.
Well, Chris, you're through to the second round of the Scottish Cup, but Keith made you work hard for that.
Yeah, definitely. It was everything I expected from the game. I had them watched and knew it was going to be tough, but really happy to get through. It's a great achievement. It was a really young squad. I think the youngest squad we've ever had. It was like the average age was 19 years old, so really happy.
First half, you had probably the better of the chances and just got your noses in front.
Yeah, we thought we dominated the half. Obviously, Keith had a couple of times they went forward and stuff, but we thought we dominated it, and we scored a good goal from corner. It was just the ball fell at me in the box, and he started today corner. He's only 19, and he put it away with his right foot. Funny enough, he's a left footer. It's usually for standing on. So going in at half time 1-0 up, we were really happy. We were like, boys have done well. We've competed. We've limited Keith to not much. So. No, first half was good.
Second half, they scored early and it just completely changed the game, didn't it?
Yeah, well, we had an opportunity. JJ went through and he cut back and just put the shot wide, and then 2 minutes later Keith went up, they got a free kick. We gave some silly free kicks away today. That was disappointing, and with the wind behind their number 7, he hit a couple of good ones and he hit a good shot, and it just went under Ben for 1-1, and then they scored a couple of minutes later, a really good save from a free kick from Ben again, and their striker put the rebound in. So it was what's happened here, because we kind of fell apart a little bit.
Then you made a double substitution and it certainly had an impact on the game.
Yeah, Callum Heath and Robbie came on, and obviously both of them have been working really well, and they'll be disappointed not to start, especially Robbie, but Robbie done the perfect reply to any manager that puts you on the bench. He came on and he just played really well. Callum got his goal as well. Obviously we made it 2-2. Matty scored from a corner, good delivery from JJ. Matty headed it at the back, and then the third one, great work for Matty, skinned 2 players, cut back, and Callum Heath put it in. So to get the 2 goals, really good.
So you're in the second round. Anyone in particular you'd like in the draw?
Nah, listen, the boys are just delighted to be in the draw, and we'll try our best against whoever we get.
Chris, thank you very much and congratulations.
Thanks, David.
We obviously want to thank Chris Geddes for that interview there. Fantastic result. It gets better. We'll move on to the next game. Gretna 2008 versus Hillabeef Hawthorns at Raydale Park. Well, before this, Hillabeef are a really decent East of Scotland side. They're actually obviously kind of local to me. Obviously rivals with Kelty. I know a fair bit about them. Watch their under 20s and stuff like that. But this is brilliant. On the hour mark, Daniel Smales got the winner for them. 1-0. I don't think there's much else to be said. It's a win for Gretna 2008. It's a fantastic win Chris Humphrey and the lads there. I was overjoyed to see that that they finally got a win. It might only be in the Scottish Cup, but hopefully they can kickstart their season in the league. Hopefully a wee bit of momentum there that they've finally done it and got the win.
Yeah, really good week for Chris Humphrey. Being on the television broadcast for the Kelty Auchinleck game, he did really well, I thought. He was quite knowledgeable and put his kind of knowledge into the analysis really well, give you an idea how he would be as a manager. And this might be the first time we've ever seen an East of Scotland side go into an away game against a Lowland side in the Cup being the favourites. But the Hawes just couldn't get it done. And two things for Gretna they'll be delighted with. Obviously the win, but the clean sheet. They've not had a clean sheet in God knows how long, so that is brilliant for them. Hawes are more than capable of scoring goals. I was very surprised actually. I thought that this one would either be a draw or an away win, so I need to give credit where it's due again to the lads down there. Daniel Smales chipping in with a goal. Him and Kevin Connolly would like to get more goals, no doubt. We'll see if that can help them kick on, the two of them. But well done to Gretna. Hopefully a wee bit of, as you say, a chink of light, a bit of hope for them for the remainder of the season. We'll see if this helps them kick on.
I'm sure the Hawes would have been really happy about the Kelty score. So they would have probably been glad to get beat by Gretna. But Daniel Smales back. He obviously was a bit of a naughty boy towards the end of last season. Got a pretty lengthy suspension, so he's back in Gretna now. And in fairness, he got a few goals last season. They probably need him at this point in time. He's came up trumps in the Cup to get them through there. Fantastic, really.
And at least there was one game that Kelty fans could smile about it.
That as well, obviously. Do you want to take us through the All Lowland League affair in the Scottish Cup?
Yeah, rounding things off, we only had one All Lowland battle, and it was a battle. Dalbeattie Star playing host to Gallifreydine Rovers down at Islecroft, and we expected Gala to go and win this. I think it would be safe to say. Looking at the two teams and the way things have gone early doors this season, there's not much to separate them in the league, just in terms of recent form. But that's how it proved. Galantes got things underway, 25 minutes on the clock, and then on 32 minutes, Niall Kelly took advantage of a keeping mistake. And just to compound Dalbeattie's problems after that, 42 minutes, just before half-time, Lee Wells was sent off. So it's never good when you're two down with a 10-man situation on the field, is it? But after half-time, Lewis Sloan actually managed to get a goal just after the hour mark. But Murray finished off the scoring 10 minutes later, scoring on his debut to make it a pretty comfortable 3-1 win for Gala. And the more the time goes on, the more this season goes on, I think the more Gala are proving people wrong. There was a lot of naysayers and a lot of doubters after what had gone on there in the close season. And it looks like they've managed to build a squad with a mentality that's basically nobody believes in us and we're going to show them. And it's working for them. So fingers crossed to get a nice draw, because they've not really had much success in the Cup, have they, Gallifreydine? So it would be good to see them get a League Two or whatever side later on and have a chance at maybe pulling off a surprise of their own.
Well, they got to the third round last year, but obviously I think they were knocked out very unlucky against East Kilbride. So hopefully a glamour tie for them if they can get past the second round. Yeah, fantastic win for Gala. They have been struggling a wee bit for numbers due to injuries and whatnot recently, so it's really good. I think Richie Maxwell probably a wee bit gutted, considering they played well against Colts in the South Challenge Cup to be defeated, but Lee Wells getting sent off before half time is obviously it's never going to help you. I think it was due to he was maybe a bit over exuberant with the decision making, I guess, of the refs from what I've heard. So full credit to Gala, commiserations to Dalbeattie Star. We don't really like these ties because we kind of have to discuss. We'd rather see all the Lowland League teams sort of get through, if you will, but full credit to Gala on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did say round it off, we do have one more tie to run through. But this one wasn't an all-Lowland affair. It was Spartans at home to Devonvale. And it was an interesting one. I'm not really sure if Spartans were favourites or not in this one. Ainsley Park, you'd expect them to have a wee bit of an advantage. But ended up being a stalemate, so we'll see another replay next week up in the Highlands. Cammy Dawson opened the scoring in 25 minutes. Although just after the half-hour mark, there was a penalty and Harry Noble got the equaliser. Other than that, there wasn't too much to write home about. It was a game that seemed to kind of peter out a wee bit from what I've read. Kind of chances and fits and starts, but nothing clear-cut. Two sides that seemingly were pretty well matched. Devonvale had a game plan stuck to it, and it seemed to work, but they weren't too expansive going forward. And yeah, it will be interesting to see if things change in the replay, if they've learnt a bit more about each other, but you still think the Spartans will fancy their chances of getting through to round 2.
Yeah, hopefully. It's been a bit of a mixed bag in the Scottish Cup. Obviously, we've got the likes of BSC and East Kilbride coming at the second round, but the teams that we probably thought were going to get through, there's been a few shocks, and then the teams like, obviously, the likes of Gretna have done fantastically well to get through their ties. I can't wait till the draw a wee bit later tonight to see who the teams get. But yeah, fantastic competition. A lot of jubilation, a lot of frustration, I guess, for some teams. But yeah, a fantastic cup competition. I really, really enjoy the Scottish Cup, and yeah, I can't wait to see some of the ties.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can probably tell if you're listening, we are recording this before the cup draw's been made. Can somebody please tell the SFA to get back to doing the Scottish Cup draw on a Saturday after the first games, please? I don't understand why you need to wait for it. But anyway, on a side note, we will have feedback and kind of opinion going out from Twitter, so keep an eye on @official Catchup to see our thoughts when the cup draw does come along, and no doubt we'll retweet anything out there from the clubs themselves or players, any thoughts that they've got on basically who they're going to be facing next time round.
Anyway, we'll get to plugs. I'll let you go first as always.
Yeah, so as I always say, you'll find me on Twitter @MozzaPlays, 2 Z's in there. You'll find anything else through my Twitter, to be honest. Before we jump over to yourself, I'll say @official Catchup. I know we said it earlier on, but it's the place you'll find everything to do with the podcast and ourselves as a whole. You'll also find us on Facebook at Lowland League Catchup, where again, it's a hub for us, and anything that's worth talking about will be mentioned. On to yourself.
It's at Rampant FM, and just like Mozza mentioned, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, so that's pretty much a roundup of the Scottish Cup and that one Lowland League tie. We'll be back next week as normal, just the Lowland League fixtures to go through. We appreciate all the questions and the comments, the support from the league, people like George Fraser. And we'll see you next week.
See you then.